Boy. This goes pretty smooth. I've never done it with a lawyer, and this goes really, really smooth. Maybe because I know you. I'm more casual about it, but
yeah.
I'm glad it works out. Are the questions coming out okay?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Everything's flowing?
Absolutely. Yeah, it feels good.
There we go, George Strait, where the sidewalk ends and the road begins. That's what I told my prom date back in '78. Wait, corazón, where the sidewalk ends, the road begins. And I never saw her again, dude.
That's surprising.
I never saw her again. I don't know what the hell I did wrong. You know, I have told people that I told people that back in the day, I always used my prom date, which I didn't have, but I throw her into the mix, and I always say, there's a song that I play. It's called Chiqui Tiki Boom. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Yeah.
By Oxigeno. And back in the day, I always say that back in the day, I had my prom date in the backseat of my car, and I told her, "Wait, baby, honey, can I see your Chiqui Tiki Boom?" And she slapped me and walked out, man. I said, I don't know what the hell I did. I was just asking to see her 45, man. That's all I wanted to see. Good morning, everybody. Double R Radio Friday morning, Freeform Friday it is, but a special Friday morning show with attorney Raul Perales, part 3. Good morning, Raul.
Good morning, guys. Happy to be here.
Are we having fun?
Absolutely. Great time. Great time being here.
Pobrecito, it's his day off, man, and I pulled him from his day off to come on over here, man, and join me and answer some questions here on my morning show. Anyways, let's do some good morning shout-outs. Good morning shout-out going out to Juan A. Gonzalez, Jesse Estrada, Segura. Good morning, Rosemary Gomez. Good morning, Rosemary Flores. Good morning, good morning. Anyways, if you have any questions, this is your last chance to ask Attorney Raul Perales any kind of questions you may have. This is what it's all about. Now, I promised y'all a crazy question, and here it is. My crazy question for Attorney Perales. Raul, have you ever had a kid talk to you about maybe wanting to sue somebody or do something like that? A minor wanting to do some damage to his parents, grandparents, anything like that?
Yeah, no, I have.
A minor. How old was this person, and what was just a little roundabout of what it was about?
Oh, well. Well, I've had more lighthearted situations where I've had kids. I had one kid that was brought in by an older cousin, and frankly, he just didn't like the rules that his parents were setting down, and he had actually seen something on TV where he could emancipate himself from his parents, and I told him I couldn't help him. I mean, he was just.
How old was this person?
He was 15, I think.
15 years old.
It's been
and wanted a divorce from the parents.
Pretty much. Didn't have a way of supporting himself. Didn't have any sort of that. But he certainly had enough with mom and dad's rules, and so that situation exists. Now, I've had other situations that have come up. I've done some work here locally on some CPS cases, Child Protective Services cases. So you've got kids that are dealing with real difficult situations there, and I've represented some of those children, and they do have legitimate beefs against their parents. And
do they?
Oh yeah.
Abuse, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, just awful stuff. It's amazing what the burdens that some of these children have, and sometimes it's disheartening because you don't know whether they're going to turn out okay. I mean, just because they've been through so much, they've seen so much, they've lived through so much, more so than many adults, and sometimes the cards are really stacked against them. So yeah, unfortunately, that situation comes up sometimes seriously and sometimes kind of in an immature manner.
Can you think of a really ridiculous case, something where you just said, you know what, man, and I understand you're in the business to try to help anybody however you can, but just something to where it's just so ridiculous you go, you know what, man, I can't help you, man. Anything really, really ridiculous, like...
You know what, I'm gonna have to think on that one next time I'm on. I'll share it with you because there's so many, but I couldn't pinpoint one right now. I really couldn't.
Raul, you've been in the business for as long as you have been. How difficult was it for you when you first got started to go into the court and tackle your first case?
You know, I think more than anything, it's when you're getting started, you're not sure if you're overdoing it, because before you actually get into the court, of course, you're in law school, and then you go in and you're observing some of these different cases. I guess sometimes when you're a younger attorney, you want to talk for an hour or two on a subject that probably you should only do 5-10 minutes and then get to the point and turn it over to the judge with regard to some of the issues. So sometimes you got to go all out. Sometimes you always go expecting the worst. You always over prepare. But sometimes the more difficult thing to do is to keep your mouth shut. And I have to remind some of my clients sometimes, hey, things are going good. We're winning this thing. As much as you want to unburden your soul and say all these things, it's time not to talk. Sometimes you go by the acronym KISS, keep it simple, stupid, and just get to the heart of the matter and get in and get out. I think that's one of the most difficult things.
Is it kind of like what I like watching a lot of Judge Judy? I think you can learn a lot from her and her show when she says, when somebody wants to say something and she goes, "Does it sound like you're losing?"
That's exactly right. And I'll tell you what, I've seen a lot of attorneys that have trouble with that concept as well. They're doing well, but they start digging themselves a hole when they keep talking.
And that's what you're there for, to tell them, cállate. That's it, man. Be quiet.
We're attorneys and counselors at law, and sometimes we have to tell you, zip it. We're winning. We're doing good.
Zip it. Zip it good. Just simply craziness, man. And like I said, I know a lot of people are shy right now on asking you questions. I'm glad that we had some people that did have questions, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more. But even more so, Attorney Perales will be joining me again. We're going to have to situate another date really, really soon and get him back in here and get more people involved, because that's what he's here for, no doubt. And if you just don't want to talk about this over the radio, or you want your story mentioned over the radio, you can always call Attorney Raul Perales at area code 210-212-5592, the law offices of Raul Perales. Anyways, when women are looking for help, especially, I know in today's world times have changed. Gays can get married now. True.
Right.
Is it kind of a different angle or situation when maybe a woman wants to get divorced from another woman? Vice versa, a guy get divorced from another guy?
Not really.
Same laws apply?
Same laws apply. I mean, even when you're when you're doing a typical divorce with a man and a woman, there are not supposed to be any presumptions. I know a lot of people still to this day and age go into my office and say, sometimes it's the man and sometimes it's the woman with regard to a custody issue. I know the woman has the upper hand in a custody case, and that's not true. There's not supposed to be a presumption, okay? Now, if the woman happens to be a stay-at-home mother, then she may have an upper hand because of closer bond or something. But in today's society, where both parents are often working, there's no presumption. You have to present the evidence about who the better parent is. So if you've got a same-sex couple that's married and they've adopted some children, it's going to be the same approach. Who can give what's in the best interest of the child? Which parent of the two is it going to be better for the child to live with? And there's a bunch of parameters: the time they can spend with them, the time they've already spent with them, who the primary caregiver has been. So there's a lot of issues. So it's really the same things you're looking at for the most part.
Do kids come into play? Because I know people can adopt nowadays, where maybe 2 males have a child or 2 females have a child. Does that make things more difficult on a divorce, where one's trying to tug one way or the other on a child, or maybe two kids?
Again, it's the same thing. You're looking at the best interest of the child and who's going to be the better.
And that's the bottom line, regardless of your male or female, whatever the case. The best interest of the child, right?
The best interest of the child. And again, it's typically a factor of looking at the past. Who's been the more involved parent? Sometimes you've got 2 parents that are really involved, but it doesn't have to be where one parent is going to see the children a whole lot and the other one's going to be left out in the cold. One of the presumptions that does exist is that both parents should have frequent and continuing contact with their children. And some of the older orders that come in, that just isn't the case. You've got a dad or a mom that's seeing the children very infrequently. So no, it's the same type of issue. You're looking at the same types of things. And it's supposed to be. Everybody's supposed to be entitled to the same protections under the law.
Yvette Charles says that is so hard and sad when you're going through proceedings like that. And at the end of the day, man, the kids are the ones. I mean, they just got to wait on judgment. They got no say-so in it. Or does a child have a say-so at a certain age?
Yeah, there's a statute where a child over 12, if any party or the judge determines that they want the children to speak to the judge, if the children are over 12 and anybody makes that request, the judge must speak to the child. And with regard to the choice of the primary conservator, in other words, the parent or adult that the child's going to live with. And if the child says, hey, look, I want to live with my mom or I want to live with my dad, then that raises a presumption that that's in the best interest of the child. So if you've got a 14-year-old son saying, hey, look, I want to go live with my dad, I go to high school here, and he's going to be closer there, I want to stay there, then that raises a presumption that that's where the child should be. Then the other party has a burden of proof to say, no, that's not in his best interest, and here's why. And the reason that's necessary is because you do have the situation where you've got mom and dad, and one of the parents is strict and by the book and making sure they're going to school and not letting them stay up late. The other parent, meanwhile, is do whatever you want when you're with me. So oftentimes the child goes in there and says, I want to be with this parent, and they'll make up some excuse because of this and that, and the other party can say, wait a minute, at that person's house there's no curfew, the boyfriend or girlfriend is spending the night, and this or that. So it can get complicated and cumbersome, but they're important issues, and hopefully the court's going to hear the sufficient evidence to make the determination with regard to what the best interest of the child is. Of course, as an attorney, my presumption is that my client is right, and we're going to fight to get the relief my client wants.
Because that's why he's paying for your services, for you to represent him.
Service, absolutely.
I tell you what, it is 9:54 in the morning. It's time for Mr. Raul Perales to get on his merry way. Actually, I'm going to go buy him some breakfast. He's earned breakfast, but I told him only 2 tacos, Mr. Perales. Más 2 taquitos, por favor. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I know you're trying to get a feel for all of this, and believe me, he will be back here in 2 or 3 weeks. He's a busy man, but I'm going to get him back here in the morning show, and we're going to go through this again, and we're going to get other questions. You can always contact Attorney Raul Perales at area code 210-212-5592. I'm going to say it again, area code 210-212-5592. The law office of Raul Perales. He is located here in San Antonio, but don't let that discourage you. You live out of town, he can help you. Okay, and I'm going to say it one more time, area code 210-212-5592. He is located here in San Antonio at 201 West Poplar, 2 blocks north of San Antonio College. Anyways, like I said, I want to thank everybody for joining us. I'm going to leave y'all on a little humorous kind of a note. My sidekick, Dr. Pepino, who everybody wants to know where in the hell he's at. Well, back in the day, he had a segment called Judge Pepino, where, forget about Judge Judy, he was going to be the judge, Judge Pepino. So I'm going to leave you all on a nice little lighthearted kind of a note. You all enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you Sunday night for my Cruising Classic show, which is sponsored by attorney Raul Perales. I thank you for that as well, amigo.
And thanks for having me. It was a blast.
There we go. And, of course, have an awesome weekend. I'm going to leave y'all with Judge Pepino. Have an awesome weekend. RRR Radio, always 24/7. Bye-bye.